For decades, Al Pacino has been seen as one of the greatest actors in modern cinema. His name alone carries weight. When people think of powerful performances, intense emotion, and unforgettable characters, Pacino is always part of the conversation. From The Godfather to Scarface, from Dog Day Afternoon to Heat, his work helped shape what serious acting looks like on screen. He does not simply play roles. He becomes them. His voice, his stare, and his quiet pauses have inspired generations of actors. To the public, Pacino is a legend built on passion, discipline, and deep emotional truth. But behind the camera, the story is more complicated. While many actors are known for loud feuds, public arguments, or dramatic interviews, Pacino is different. He does not shout his anger to the world. He does not attack others in the press. Instead, when something breaks, he steps away silently. Over time, people begin to notice a pattern. Certain directors never work with him again. Certain co-stars disappear from his professional circle. There are no big apologies. There are no reunions. Just silence. This silence has become one of the most misunderstood parts of Pacino's career. Some see it as professionalism. Others see it as pride. What is clear is that Pacino follows his instincts not only in acting, but in relationships. If he feels misunderstood, disrespected, or creatively trapped, he does not fight to fix it. He leaves. In Hollywood, where connections often matter as much as talent, this quiet distance speaks loudly. The industry runs on second chances, sequels, and repeat partnerships. When those disappear, it raises questions. Was it ego? Was it creative conflict? Or was it simply two strong personalities unable to move in the same direction? To understand Pacino fully, one must look beyond awards and applause and into the spaces where collaboration ended without explanation. His legacy is not only built on unforgettable roles, but also on the people who never returned to share the screen with him again. This article explores those silent separations and what they reveal about the man behind the performances. Al Pacino's acting style is intense, emotional, and deeply personal. He is known for working from instinct rather than strict planning. While some actors prefer structure, clear marks, and repeated rehearsals, Pacino often searches for truth in the moment. He believes that real emotion cannot always be planned. This approach has given cinema some of its most powerful scenes, but it also creates tension on set. Directors who value control and precision sometimes struggle with Pacino's freedom. He may change a line. He may shift the tone of a scene without warning. To him, this is not disrespect. It is exploration. However, not everyone sees it that way. Film sets are expensive, tightly scheduled environments. When an actor resists direction or pushes against structure, frustration can grow quickly. Pacino is also known to be deeply serious about his work. He is not someone who socializes easily on set. He does not rely on charm or humor to smooth things over. This can make him appear distant or cold, especially to younger actors or directors expecting collaboration to feel lighter. Over time, small creative disagreements can turn into lasting distance. Pacino rarely explains himself publicly. He does not hold press conferences to clarify his feelings. Instead, he lets time pass. This silence can feel final. For some collaborators, it means the door quietly closes. His style demands trust. When that trust breaks, the relationship often ends completely. This is not because Pacino enjoys conflict, but because he does not like compromise when it comes to performance. He believes deeply in following his inner compass. If he senses that someone does not respect that process, he withdraws. In an industry built on negotiation, this makes him difficult but also deeply authentic. His conflicts are not about fame or money. They are about control, respect, and artistic belief. Understanding this helps explain why so many of his professional relationships ended not with anger, but with absence. One of the earliest and most telling examples of Pacino's quiet fallouts came during the making of Cruising in 1980, directed by William Friedkin. Friedkin was known for being disciplined, demanding, and extremely precise. Coming off major success, he expected actors to arrive fully prepared and follow his vision closely. Pacino, on the other hand, approached the role with emotional exploration and improvisation. Almost immediately, the two men clashed. Friedkin reportedly felt Pacino was unprepared and too loose with the script. Pacino felt restricted and misunderstood. The tension grew over time, creating a cold atmosphere on set. While the film was completed and later gained cult status, the working relationship never healed. Friedkin later made comments suggesting disappointment, while Pacino never directly responded. What followed was silence. They never worked together again. There were no reunions, no shared interviews, and no signs of reconciliation. In Hollywood, where success often brings repeated collaborations, this absence was noticeable. The conflict was not explosive. It was quiet and final. This situation highlights a recurring theme in Pacino's career. When creative control becomes a struggle rather than a shared goal, he steps away. He does not attempt to repair the bond publicly. Instead, he moves forward with those who allow him space to work in his own way. Friedkin continued his career with other actors. Pacino continued his with other directors. But the bond between them ended the moment trust broke. This pattern would repeat itself many times. Glengarry Glen Ross is often praised as one of Pacino's finest performances. His sharp, explosive delivery became iconic. Yet behind the scenes, his relationship with director James Foley was strained. Foley preferred discipline and consistency. Pacino brought unpredictability and raw energy. While this tension created magic on screen, it made collaboration difficult off-screen. Foley reportedly found Pacino exhausting to manage. Pacino, in turn, may have felt constrained. The film succeeded, but the partnership ended there. Neither man publicly criticized the other, but they never reunited. This quiet ending speaks volumes. In Hollywood, silence often replaces confrontation. The lack of future collaboration suggests that both men understood the cost of working together again. For Pacino, one powerful performance was enough. He did not chase comfort. He moved on. Working with Marlon Brando on The Godfather placed Pacino in a difficult position. Brando was already a legend. Pacino was still proving himself. While their performances were unforgettable, the imbalance in recognition created tension. Pacino felt overshadowed. When award season came and Brando received top honors, Pacino felt deeply hurt. He later admitted that the situation felt unfair. Over time, the two drifted apart. There were no more shared projects. Pacino respected Brando, but he did not seek to follow his path. The silence between them reflected unresolved feelings. Sometimes admiration and resentment exist side by side. In Pacino's case, that mix created distance rather than conflict. Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are often mentioned together as acting giants. They worked together several times, yet they were never close. Their styles differ greatly. De Niro is quiet and controlled. Pacino is emotional and instinctive. While they respected each other, they did not bond. Their collaborations felt professional, not personal. Over time, the lack of warmth became noticeable. Interviews remained polite but distant. Pacino once said they were not friends, just colleagues. This honesty revealed the truth. Sometimes great talent does not create great connection. Their distance was not hostile, but it was permanent. During Scarface, Pacino reportedly doubted Michelle Pfeiffer's casting. He questioned her strength for the role. Pfeiffer later admitted she felt his resistance. Though she proved herself and delivered a strong performance, the tension never faded. Pacino remained distant. They never worked together again. This situation highlights how power dynamics affect relationships. Pacino was established. Pfeiffer was rising. His early judgment created a wall that never came down. Even success could not erase that initial divide. Scarecrow brought Pacino and Gene Hackman together only once. Hackman valued efficiency. Pacino valued exploration. Their methods clashed. Though the film was praised, the experience left both men unwilling to repeat it. Pacino later described it as difficult. Hackman moved on. The silence that followed was mutual. Two strong personalities chose distance over compromise. Pacino's silence is not accidental. It is a choice. He does not seek revenge. He does not explain himself. He simply closes the door. In an industry filled with noise, this silence becomes powerful. It shapes his career quietly. Those who work well with him often return. Those who clash do not. This pattern defines him as much as his roles. Al Pacino's legacy is not damaged by these quiet fallouts. If anything, they reveal his commitment to truth and instinct. He values authenticity over comfort. He chooses art over harmony. While this costs him relationships, it preserves his identity. In Hollywood, many burn bridges loudly. Pacino buries them silently. And in that silence, his legend continues to grow. Al Pacino's career offers a quiet lesson about power in Hollywood that many people miss. Power is often shown as loud control, public influence, or the ability to open and close doors for others. Pacino's power works differently. He does not dominate interviews or control headlines. Instead, he controls access to himself. He decides who stays in his creative world and who quietly disappears from it. This choice has shaped his career just as much as his performances. Many actors try to keep everyone happy. They apologize quickly, smooth over conflict, and agree to repeat partnerships even when the creative spark is gone. Pacino does the opposite. He trusts his instincts, even when that choice limits future opportunities. This is risky in Hollywood, where relationships often matter more than talent. Yet Pacino survived and thrived because his work spoke louder than his silence. Directors who understood his process gave him freedom, and those collaborations produced some of the most respected films in cinema history. Others who clashed with him were not publicly punished, but they were not invited back either. This approach sends a clear message. Pacino believes that creative truth cannot be forced. When it is lost, the project may continue, but the relationship ends. This philosophy also explains why Pacino rarely participates in nostalgic reunions or public reflections on old partnerships. He lives in the moment of the work, not in repairing the past. To some, this seems cold. To others, it seems honest. What cannot be denied is that Pacino's choices protected his identity as an actor. He never diluted his style to fit expectations. He never reshaped himself to please a system that did not fully understand him. Instead, he accepted the cost of being difficult, intense, and uncompromising. In return, he built a body of work that remains powerful decades later. His story reminds Hollywood that not all conflicts end in drama. Some end in silence. And sometimes, that silence is the strongest statement of all. In Hollywood, conflict usually comes with noise. Actors argue in interviews. Directors release statements, and studios quietly leak stories to control the narrative. Public feuds often become part of an actor's image, shaping how audiences and insiders view them. Al Pacino chose a different path. Instead of turning disagreements into spectacle, he let silence carry the weight. This silence is not weakness. It is control. When Pacino stops working with someone, there is no announcement. There is no explanation. People simply notice the absence over time. No sequels together. No reunions. No shared praise during award season. This absence creates mystery, and mystery invites speculation. In many cases, silence protects both sides. It avoids legal trouble, public backlash, and reputation damage. More importantly, it keeps the focus on the work rather than the conflict. Pacino understands that public fights often distract from performance. He would rather be remembered for a role than for an argument. This approach also shifts the burden of interpretation to the audience. Instead of hearing one side of a story, viewers piece together the truth through patterns. Who returned? Who did not? Who speaks warmly? Who stays neutral? Over time, these patterns form a quiet but powerful narrative. Pacino's silence also reflects his personality. He is introspective and private by nature. He does not enjoy explaining emotions in public. For him, walking away is easier than justifying himself. This choice may feel frustrating to fans who want clarity, but it has allowed him to avoid becoming trapped in endless debates about ego and blame. In an industry where image is fragile, silence can preserve dignity. Many actors damage their careers by saying too much. Pacino protected his by saying almost nothing. His method shows that restraint can be a form of strength. It also teaches a larger lesson about professional life beyond Hollywood. Not every disagreement needs an explanation. Not every relationship deserves repair. Sometimes, moving forward quietly is healthier than fighting loudly. Pacino's career proves that when your work is strong enough, silence does not erase you. It defines you. As Al Pacino's reputation grew, directors who wanted to work with him began to understand an important truth. Pacino could not be managed in the traditional way. He could not be controlled through strict schedules, rigid blocking, or constant instruction. Directors who tried to shape him too tightly often found themselves frustrated. Those who succeeded learned to adapt instead. They created space rather than pressure. Directors like Sidney Lumet, Michael Mann, and Martin Scorsese understood that Pacino worked best when he felt trusted. They focused on building an environment where emotion could rise naturally rather than forcing it into a fixed mold. Lumet, in particular, was known for long rehearsals and deep discussions. He allowed Pacino to explore characters fully before stepping onto the set. This preparation gave Pacino confidence and reduced conflict. Michael Mann approached Pacino differently. He allowed intensity, but balanced it with discipline. Mann respected Pacino's instincts while maintaining structure around the larger vision of the film. This balance is why Heat became one of Pacino's most celebrated performances. Scorsese, on the other hand, acted almost as a mediator when Pacino worked alongside other strong personalities. He understood how to guide, without controlling. These directors did not see Pacino's intensity as a problem. They saw it as raw material. Instead of fighting it, they shaped the environment around it. This adaptability became essential for anyone hoping to work with Pacino more than once. Younger directors took note. Over time, Pacino began choosing collaborators who respected his process from the start. This shift reduced open conflict later in his career. It also explains why some partnerships flourished while others ended quickly. Pacino did not change his nature. The directors changed their approach. This dynamic reveals an important lesson about collaboration. Great artists do not always fit into systems. Sometimes, systems must adjust to accommodate greatness. Pacino's career shows that when respect and trust are present, intensity becomes power rather than chaos. Directors who failed to understand this often walked away confused and resentful. Those who learned became part of cinematic history. In the end, Pacino did not isolate himself from collaboration. He simply demanded the right kind. His work thrived when creativity was treated as a shared journey rather than a battle for control. Al Pacino's career did more than entertain audiences. It quietly reshaped how future actors understood their craft and their power within the industry. Before Pacino, many actors believed success meant obedience. You followed direction closely, avoided conflict, and stayed grateful for every opportunity. Pacino challenged that idea without ever announcing it. By trusting instinct over instruction, he showed that actors could protect their creative identity even inside a system that often tried to limit it. Young actors watched him closely. They saw that he did not chase likability. He did not soften his edges to become easier to manage. Instead, he leaned into intensity, vulnerability, and emotional risk. This inspired a generation of performers who valued authenticity over polish. Actors like Sean Penn, Daniel Day-Lewis, and later performers influenced by method acting often pointed to Pacino as proof that deep emotional work could coexist with mainstream success. His willingness to accept tension on set also changed expectations. Pacino made it clear that discomfort was sometimes part of the process. Acting was not meant to be safe or convenient. It was meant to be truthful. This mindset encouraged actors to push boundaries, ask for time, and question direction when something felt wrong. At the same time, it also sparked debate. Critics argued that this approach could excuse difficult behavior. Supporters argued that art requires freedom. Pacino never joined that debate. He let his work answer for him. Over time, his influence became part of acting culture itself. Directors began expecting strong actors to challenge them. Studios became more open to emotional experimentation. Audiences grew comfortable with characters who were messy, loud, broken, and unpredictable. Pacino helped normalize that complexity. He proved that an actor did not need to be charming to be compelling. This legacy goes beyond awards and box office numbers. It lives in acting classrooms, rehearsal rooms, and behind-the-scenes conversations. When actors today talk about following instinct or protecting the truth of a character, they are often echoing Pacino's example, whether they realize it or not. His influence is not loud or branded. It is woven quietly into the culture. Just like his conflicts, his impact does not announce itself. It simply remains. Even after decades in the spotlight, Al Pacino's career still matters because it represents something rare in modern entertainment: consistency of identity. In an era where actors often reshape themselves to stay relevant, Pacino has remained fundamentally the same. His voice has aged, his body has changed, but his approach to acting has not softened. He still values emotional truth over popularity and instinct over approval. This matters today more than ever, especially in an industry driven by algorithms, branding, and audience metrics. Younger actors are often encouraged to think about social media presence, public image, and marketability before craft. Pacino's career stands as a quiet counterexample. He reminds the industry that lasting respect comes from commitment to the work, not constant visibility. His relevance also comes from the way audiences continue to respond to him. Even in later roles, his presence commands attention. Viewers may not always agree with his choices, but they feel them. That emotional impact is what keeps his legacy alive. Pacino's history of quiet fallouts also feels more understandable today. Modern work culture increasingly recognizes the value of boundaries. Walking away from unhealthy or unproductive collaborations is no longer seen as weakness. Pacino practiced this long before it became acceptable. He did not explain or justify his exits. He trusted himself enough to move on. This approach resonates with people beyond Hollywood. It reflects a broader human truth about knowing when to stay and when to leave. His career also matters because it shows that intensity does not have an expiration date. Pacino never tried to become softer to fit age expectations. He embraced roles that reflected experience, regret, and reflection. In doing so, he proved that aging can add depth rather than limit expression. His continued relevance is not about nostalgia. It is about presence. When Pacino appears on screen, audiences sense history, struggle, and authenticity. That cannot be manufactured. It must be lived. His career still matters because it represents a lifetime of choosing truth over comfort. In a world that often rewards noise, Pacino's quiet consistency remains powerful. In the end, Al Pacino's story is not really about conflict, ego, or broken partnerships. It is about choice. Throughout his career, Pacino chose instinct over comfort, truth over approval, and silence over spectacle. While many actors tried to fix every relationship or protect every bridge, Pacino accepted that some connections were meant to end. He understood that not all collaborations age well, and not all creative bonds deserve revival. His quiet exits were not acts of anger. They were acts of self-preservation. By walking away instead of fighting publicly, he kept his focus where it mattered most, on the work itself. This is why his legacy feels different from many of his peers. There are no dramatic feud documentaries or bitter tell-all books tied to his name. Instead, there is a trail of unforgettable performances and unanswered questions. Who might he have worked with again? What stories were never told? These questions remain because Pacino never explained himself, and that silence has become part of the myth. It forces audiences to judge him not by rumors, but by results. Decades later, his films still speak louder than any behind-the-scenes story. His characters still feel alive, flawed, and deeply human. That is the final measure of his career. Not how many friendships he kept, but how many moments he created that still resonate. In Hollywood, where noise fades quickly, Pacino's quiet legacy endures. He did not chase harmony. He chased honesty. And when honesty became impossible, He left without looking back. That decision shaped his path, his reputation, and his place in cinema history. Al Pacino did not need to explain who he was. He showed it scene by scene, choice by choice. And long after the arguments have been forgotten, his work remains. That is not just success. That is permanence. When people talk about success in Hollywood, they often focus on numbers. Box office totals, awards won, years of relevance, and public popularity are treated as the final proof of greatness. Al Pacino's journey suggests a deeper definition of success, one that has little to do with constant approval. His career shows that real success is not about being liked by everyone, but about remaining true to yourself when pressure pushes you to change. Pacino never built his identity around pleasing studios, critics, or even collaborators. He built it around internal